Y'all awake? Hello, sweet living spirits. Okay, I'm awake. You guys awake? It's probably, well, I think it's like 2 something in the morning. And, I get these messages and I'm channeling in a different way than some. I mean, we all got our own way, but we're all one. And, oof, oof. I'm, I got to give this out because if I don't do it, then I just hold it, and it's not good for me to hold that information. All right, so uh, very tired, very tired. Little short story. It's not saying to go into my own. We're all one, but we're all doing our own creations or whatever. But yeah, I had my little dog, and she was old, and she had issues with her uterus. I had to take her emergency this morning at 8 a.m. and get her spayed because she's a miniature chihuahua. She was the runt of the litter. Never bred her or anything, but she just had issues. But anyway, and I did too, so I can relate. So, all right, so that's just short, but yeah, I'm tired. So, but no, when I get this hit like this, I have to wake up, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. You really will feel, you really know who you are if you just listen to yourself, and you are, people are like, oh, I don't know, I don't feel a shift, I don't, you know yes you do. Sorry. What it is you're trying to, if you're trying to recognize it, if you're trying so hard to recognize it, you're not going to feel it. um it's more about you just letting it go to God, creator, source. We're all one. And you still want to ask though, like if you have issues in your body. All right, when I did Hopi with the stones, Native American, did that, did my massages, did readings on top of it. Um, when I lay my hand on people, it's not me. Remember, I'm the vessel, but yet it's me in this body form because we're all creator. If we really go out of our body, we really can truly feel and we can see where people are having pain and where they're having issues. But the pain that we consider as pain because something happened to our body is not truly that. It's so hard to explain. What it is there's an emotion behind it. Now, you know, I'm I'm just being honest. If you really go deep, there's always an emotion behind the pain you're having in areas. And you're like, well, why does that represent, abandonment? Or why does this represent in my shoulder or something, You got to put your hand on it. And you ask it because you have the right to this vessel. We're soul, we're spirit, but you have the right to know what's going on. And you love it. You don't judge it or anything. You just put your hand on it and you say, what is this pain about? Why am I feeling it here? But yet you say, you know, I love you and I see you. Even if you don't know the true deep answer of why you're having that pain there, or sickness, or disease, even cancer, even. You go into it because what you're doing is you're laying your hand on it and you just give it love. No matter what it is, you don't even see nothing yet. Let's just say you don't see why you're having the pain. And you're just laying your hand on it and you're trying to figure it out. But, well, some people will. We always want to do that with our brain. We're going to try to figure out why. But no, if you just lay your hand on it and say, look, I see you. I don't know why you're here, but I want to give you love. And I awaken to that. And I want to find out why. And you might even still have it the next day. But when you say that without judgment, without, trying to figure it out, and you laid your hand on it and you love it, and you got to truly love whatever the pain you have in your body. Even if you can't lay your hand on it, some places you can't reach, but you know what I mean. Get as near as it is and say, yeah, I'm feeling you. I know where you are. You know what is in your body. So you say that, and you really don't judge it. You just say, look, I love you. I don't know why I'm hurting here, 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 or I have a disease. I'm sick. I'm this, this, this. And you talk to it. Talk to your body. Talk to your cells, and just let it go. Now, this is what's funny. It might not be the same day, okay? But as you go along, it could be the next day. Sometimes it could be the same day, but it could be the next day or a week or two later. You're going to figure it out. Something's is going to come up out of the blue that's been dormant inside of you. And it's going to make you remember. That's how you remember why you got the pain in the first place. When I used to do Reiki and I did massages and stuff, and mostly it was the back and stuff, and then I did legs and stuff. And when I got to their knees, well, when they were flipped over, remember I'm doing them face down first, and then they flip over. All right. So when I got to the knee area, now this is what I really, truly, the only thing I can give you is that, because I had it myself. So in the knee areas, if you have problems with your knees and your legs, all right, that's grounding, number one. But in the knees, if you have bad knees, maybe even a knee replacement, everything, that's abandonment. Now, I'm just going to say this out loud. So look into it, you guys. Look into it. The people who have had problems with their knees, I'm talking like, had surgeries, had knee replacements, everywhere, whatever. Was somebody that you loved not there in your life? I really would love to hear back from you guys about this, because I had my own, abandonment feelings, and there's a lot of things I could tell you. I could write a book if I wanted to about, but it's not about me. I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. But I would do that to help people as best as I could, because we're all one, and we're all going through kind of the same things in some area or another. And that's how I look at this life. And we're anchors though. So here's a lot of us. So yeah, you're like, oh gosh, well, I don't see no shift. I don't see this. I don't see that. Sorry, I'm gonna have to change subject, but yeah, it's true. No, you won't see it. You feel it. You understand? Yeah, some people are gonna get ascension symptoms. I mean, I get lifts. I call it lifts. I get high vibrational, like in my chest, and I think I'm gonna lose my breath, and I have to sit there for a second and take my breath, and then I get body aches. But then it's actually getting better than before, because when it first started, when I was getting these lifts, I really just freaking couldn't breathe. It was like so high in my chest. And then when, some of y'all know me, I came back from, endose coma for a month. And, yeah, I died. Well, I died 2 or 3 times while my heart was stopping. Now, people do ask me, they're like, did you see a light? What'd you see? Let me tell you what I seen. No, it's nothing against God. It's not saying I'm not from God. I know I'm one source. We're all one. We're all through Creator. We're all through God. And yes, I love me some Jesus too. But let me tell you what it was. So when I did that, this is what I remember in the coma. So remember, if somebody's comatose, whether it's induced or they're in a coma, they're still there. They are. But I'm not saying it. This is my experience of the coma. You're still there. So you're hearing stuff. This is what's so cool, especially if you're a medium. So I had my third eye. I could see things too. Not just hear. I could see things. But I didn't even know I was put under. I had no clue. Had to be put under. It was a month later. They brought me back out and took out trachea, and I couldn't even talk. And my daughter and everything was coming in there and taking a swab and trying to get me some. That was the best water I ever tasted. I mean, you know, it's we need to say we're so blessed about water and everything we're getting every day. Just water. No, I know I'm not trying to change the subject. I'm just saying there were so many things I was so grateful for, and I remember laying there. I didn't even know what the hell happened, and they kept saying, "Oh, Miss Rosinski, do you know where you are?" And I'm like, "Well, I remember going to Chowan, my nearest hospital, but I didn't know that I went under because I had pneumonia and everything. And, that was right before COVID came out, the year before COVID. I don't know. I can't really honestly say it was COVID, but it was kind of weird because I had walking pneumonia like 3 times and I got over it and everything. But, yeah, it was just weird that put me down. And, but it didn't put me down all the way. But no, I was fighting to come back. So the only thing I can tell y'all is that I went to a little community hospital near me. I didn't know. They put me out. Uh, and then they didn't even tell my husband in the middle of the night because I was cardiacing and there was so much stuff going. I don't even know why. But they shipped me in a helicopter. Look, I was out for the helicopter ride. I would have loved to have been awake for the helicopter ride, but I wasn't. And then they shipped me to another hospital in Greenville. And I'm not saying anything bad about Greenville Hospital. There were some very, very, very good nurses and staff, but then there was some that I don't want to even go into that. That's another thing with the health system. Okay, I ain't going into that. But anyway, uh, don't know shit. I'm out. Didn't even know a helicopter ride. Would have loved to seen that. I mean, I've been in a plane one time my whole life. I went to Louisiana with my girlfriend, and I love her. She's my sister, and we went to Louisiana, and it was such a beautiful time. And first time I ever flown in a plane or anything. And yeah, I wanted to win the seat. I just give it to God. If I'm dying, I'm dying. If I'm not, I'm not. Whatever. This is a matrix. This is a school. We're gonna learn stuff. All right. Well, anyway, long story short, I mean, I could give you a whole story. It would take too long. So I'm trying to sum it up in bits and pieces. And I get to this hospital. Well, I didn't even know. They tell my husband like a day later. My poor husband, he was freaking out. And he comes in there and everything, and he's trying to. I'm out. They put me out. They said my heart. I didn't even know this till after I woke up, after I got home from the hospital, because nobody wants to tell you that shit. But the one thing I did know is that I had two nurses that was really, really sweet. And they came in and said, you're a walking miracle. Well, I wasn't walking, but they said, you're a walking miracle. They did say walking miracle, even though I wasn't walking yet. I had to relearn how to walk and everything. But they said that to me. And I didn't understand what they were meaning. Because in my mind, I went into a hospital, was getting my lungs checked again for pneumonia, and then that's it. That's all I remember on that part. I didn't remember being transferred. I didn't remember all that. But what I did remember is, and this probably is my comatose, the first thing I can remember is, now this probably is when my heart stopped the first time. It was like 5 minutes almost. They said they didn't think they were going to bring me back, and if they did, I was going to be a vegetable. And you can ask my husband this. And I came back, but you're still out. So the only thing I can remember in my spirit sense was, no, I didn't see no light. I didn't see no lifting or anything. But what I did see was my mom, and she's been passed on. And she came to me first, and I was in a medical bed. This is what I do remember. I was in a bed, medical bed, wasn't really set up the same way or anything. And she came and she didn't say nothing to me. And she had a beautiful light around her. And she just patted my face. Just a little touch on my face. And it's almost like she's trying to kiss me, but yet she's just patting my face. You know, she looked at me and she just patted my face. All right, that's the first thing I remember. And I was comatose for a month. Then I remember, and actually I had to be put back down again for like 4 days, even after the comatose. And I just remember telling the doctor that was very sweet. This doctor, I love her. She was precious. She brushed my hair. My hair was all knotted up, everything. She was trying to do everything she could for me, and that was precious. And I said, she's like, Miss Rosinski, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing this to us, because my heart would just start going crazy, and I was shutting down, and I kept trying to shut down. And she says, we're gonna have to put you under again, honey. And I'm like, just please hold my hand and keep talking to me, because I didn't want to be in the dark. Now, I'm not a bad person or anything like that. I've always, thought about people really good. I'm not saying, no, I know there's a God. This is what I'm saying, though. It was weird. My experience was weird. There's some, near-death experiences or whatever, and they're like, I've seen this, I've seen a light, I've gotten my whole, what I've done wrong and everything. All right, this is mine. Mine was, like I said, my mom coming, patting my face. This is the only way I can figure it, is when I was out. No, it's not my brain going into something, or I really felt this. And I've been doing spiritual readings since birth. Well, since I could. Actually, when I really got into it is, of course, later on in life, when I had my own business and everything. Even my own mother had to turn her shift around, and she'd be asking me stuff. She'd be like, hey, Pickle, what do you feel with this? Because I already had the background in my area of people knowing, and it came true, and I was just helping them. Because I do it through God. And I say that. I'm like, God, source, God, creator. And I even talk to Jesus. And I would bless lands and homes and try to clear negative things and all. All right, well, I'm not saying it's not really me. I'm just a vessel. But what I'm saying is, so here I am. All right, and I'm freaking out. And I had Mom to come. All right, now listen to this. This is where it gets really crazy. Hadn't even thought about, not saying that they're saviors or anything. I have never, ever thought about extraterrestrial. Okay. I do remember me and my sister coming back. We had to stay with my oldest sister in Alabama. And she was bringing us back to my other sister. I mean, I'm the baby of 6. 3 sisters and 2 brothers. Well, my one sister's dead now. The oldest is dead, but she's the one we stayed with. And it's just weird, because we're coming back. It was her husband, well, and then me and my sister Janine, and then her 2 kids, which is Leah, and Laura. But anyway, long story short, so we're coming back, and they had rented a van type of thing. And this is really early. This is almost like it's the 80s. That's all I can say. And I remember we stopped off in South Carolina somewhere at a rest area. And we stretched our legs from Alabama a little bit. So me and my sister got out, and we just walked to, I remember there was some water. It wasn't like an ocean. It was like a creek. So we had used the bathroom and everything. We're waiting for everybody to get ready get in the van. And I remember I was very young. And me and my sister was out there. We were close, though. The van wasn't that far from us. And I do remember looking up and seeing a saucer, like the original flying saucers. I do remember. And even me and my sister looked at each other and said, what is that? And I'm like, oh. Well, I didn't even know about anything that much. And then my sister, who's older than me by 4 years, she said, "That's a flying saucer. That's cool." And we're looking at it. And then what's weird is that I don't remember anything after that. I don't remember walking back to the van. It was real quick. All I remember is being in the van and we were traveling. Almost like I had fell asleep. And I woke up back in the van and we're almost there. And I remember my sister Charlene saying, "Okay, all right, we're getting in North Carolina, or we're getting to Virginia, or we're. But it was weird. There was some time lapse there, but I never got a regression. I never went back, try to figure it out. All right, I'm just saying that to y'all. My sister remembers it too, but yet we don't remember some stuff. There's some stuff missing. Like, it's weird. And we were very young. All right, so there's that. All right, then when I was in the hospital, going back to the hospital, this was in 2018, 19. Excuse me. Lord. I think it's 2019. Yeah. It was like the year before COVID. That's all I can say, which is weird, before they even knew COVID. All right. And they kept trying to bring me back. So getting back to that story. So, I told you about my mom. What I seen was this. This is what's crazy. I didn't see a white light. I didn't see God or anything that I could say. But what I did see after my mom, in the sequence, is, first of all, in between, it was weird. It was like I seen. Well, I know y'all gonna think I'm freaking nuts, but no, it's true. And I know it's in my third eye, because I do spiritual reading. So I was in another dimension or something in between. And it was like a dome. It was like a big dome bubble. And I remember waking up on the bed, and I'm looking around, everything is in this place. Well, I know that most hospital rooms are kind of set up the same way, but no, they could be opposite, areas of the wall, or if there's a bathroom over here or whatever. Just saying. All right, y'all keep that in mind. So I'm laying there, and I'm kind of levitated just a little bit off the bed, but I'm like in this dome bubble. It was really weird. And it was plasma. It was beautiful, but yet it was like a pinkish tan, and it was all around me. And there was this being, and very tall and beautiful. I just remember, like, the suit was pretty. It was like really pretty. It was like goldish looking, and it was like in frays, like, it was really pretty. And then there was this mask though, and the head was covered too, but it was a mask. I could see the eyes. The eyes is what got me, and the eyes was looking down at me at the head of my bed. Well, I was levitating, but no, looking down, and I didn't talk, and they were talking to me. Well, he was talking to me. I say he. And looking down, and real pale underneath, almost like a. Well, now that I've learned some of the species of the different alien ETs, a white, very Nordic, but yet also Arcturian, because there was some blue, and the eyes were iridescent. It was beautiful. The eyes were huge. It's not like our eyes, they're just really huge, and it was just like, bam. And it was just like all these different colors in the eyes. And a mask went over the nose and the face, and it was beautiful. It was like it almost looked like a shell mask. You know what I mean? Like a scale mask. It was pretty. I don't feel like it was reptilian though, because I had to look into that too. I was like, well, did I just get fucked up with the reptilian? No, no, it wasn't reptilian, and I feel like it was Nordic, and it, actually it was love. and I could feel this love. I did feel that. I felt, not saying, there's no God, I just feel like what I did was they knew I was going to go. I probably was supposed to die. And, and then they asked me, because we're all, I do feel like we all have alien beings in us. I feel like we're everything. We got Nordic, we got, maybe even reptilian. We can't do bad. If we didn't know bad, then we wouldn't know good. So we're all still source, though. It all goes back to God, Creator. And there's no Savior but you. So I do know that. So I'm going to throw that out there. But anyway, long story short. So there's this beautiful being, and I didn't feel threatened. Actually felt very comfortable. And then I remember looking around a little bit, and I'm getting telepathic talking to me. Like, you're okay. And I don't, I do remember something about, do you want to go back? Why do you want to? I do remember the why question. And I said, well, that's another story, but because I never experienced somebody who truly loved me in the human form in this life. And because I've always tried to give love. I'm not saying I'm beautiful and perfect, but I wanted to know what unconditional love is. So I do feel that that was my reason why I wanted to come back. And maybe that was good enough, because after that, I looked down at my body and I'm kind of still levitated. And there was 2 grays on the left and 2 grays, and they were small. They were about, they were pretty though. They were bluish gray. And they were about, I don't know, 3 or 4 foot high. And all I remember is like my arms were straight out. They had my arms straight out of my body, my hands and everything. My arms were levitated, and they weren't even touching me. And what they were doing was they were pulling this tar, and I could see it. And I see 2 of them working on one side, 2 of them working on the other, and they were pulling this black looking tar shit out of my body. It was weird. It was a matter, there was a matter with it. Like, I could see it. But once it got out of the body, it was almost like disappearing. Like they were like, well, look, I do Hopi, I do Reiki, I used to do that. And when I was doing Reiki and stuff, when you're doing like the rake, energy work, you're actually, you're seeing it. They don't see it, the client, but you're actually seeing this stuff coming out of their body. Well, I'm not saying it was that color. Well, I had some tar. I call it tar, black shit. I don't know. Anyway, long story short, so that happened. And I just remember waking up a month later, and they kept saying, do you know what your name is? Yes, I'm so and so. Well, I don't want to keep giving. Anyway, it's Care. And do you know, where you are? And I'm like, yeah. Well, at first I said, I had to say this because I was like, yeah, I just remember the last thing I remember was Chowan Hospital. They're like, you're not here no more. You're not at Chowan. You're in a different one now. And I said, okay, well, of course I ain't going to know that. I was out for the helicopter ride. I was out for a month after I got to the other hospital. Anyway, long story short, and then I had to go through rehabilitation. Had to learn to walk again. Actually, that was after the fact that I kept seizing. Well, not seizures, but my heart kept just trying to go out. That's a long story too. Anyway, I'm just trying to cut it short. The thing I'm trying to get to, the point I'm trying to get to is there is connections, in my opinion. We're all one. God created a lot. I mean, look at how beautiful Creator is. All right, we got hummingbirds. I just know, since I was a medium, since I could remember, there was other dimensions. I seen fairies, and I was all good. It wasn't like I was like witchcraft, or actually I wanted to stop any kind of darkness or evil. And I was trying to use that, the gift. We all have the gift. Some people open it, some people don't. Some people are forced into it and they can't close it. Well, I could never close it, even if I wanted to. So I'm just being honest. And I'm not no better than nobody else. But what I'm saying is the truth. So what happens is that, like right now, I can feel all of these energies coming in. And yes, we do have galactic. No, they're not our saviors. But yeah, they're going to try to help us. I do know this. This is what I do know. I feel that. Um, as also, I do go to dimensions too in my dreams. I can remember my dreams pretty much. I mean, can't say every day, but most of the time. 4 times out of a week, I can remember what I'm dreaming. And I see stuff. It's not perfect dreams. They're weird. Like I get a macaw parrot sometimes and, animals in it. And I look up with Native American background. I will look up my Native American meaning for the animal of what the totem is with that. Because that's also a message. And fairies, very connected to earth. Very connected to trees. So, I'm just giving y'all a little more of my story because, well, I don't